Hey, if you're curious to know the 3 essential skill sets needed to be a general partner in a limited partnership, then you found the right video. Hey Daniel, cue in that intro please. Hey, how's it going, friend? Juan Pablo here. Thank you so much for finding this video, finding this channel, because on this channel, we like to discuss the 3 pillars to financial freedom, which are personal finance, talk about credit, budgeting, debt to credit, debt to income ratio, all that good stuff. We also like to discuss funding, having a repeatable source of investment capital. And last and certainly not least, real estate investing, which we like to emphasize our attention on multi-units and multi-family properties. So if you're new, make sure you like, subscribe, see that notification button, so that way YouTube, the algorithm, can do its thing to provide you with additional videos to help you along your journey towards financial freedom. Now, without further ado, let's dive into the topic. All right, let's talk about, first and foremost, what is a limited partnership? So a limited partnership, you might have heard the word float around somewhere on the airwaves, internet, YouTube, about syndications. Okay, so a limited partnership is similar to it, just without all the legalities behind it. With syndications, you pretty much have to have a PPM, you gotta get a security, just so you can broadcast on the airwaves that, hey, I'm looking for partners, right? With a limited partnership, you're not necessarily broadcasting on the airwaves, let's say on the radio or social media, what have you, that you're looking for partners that you don't know. A limited partnership is basically, hey, I'm gonna partner with other investors on a real estate deal, let's say a multifamily deal, in which I have a pre-existing relationship with them, meaning I know them. I'm investing with my colleague, my coworker, my friend, my cousin, my associate. I'm investing with someone which I already had a pre-existing relationship. Now, the difference between a general partner and a limited partner is a general partner is the person who's pretty much doing all the legwork. They're the connector. They're connecting the limited partner with the mortgage lender, with the real estate agent, the attorney, so they have the connections, okay? They're that synergistic glue that brings all these sources together. Plus, they're also performing the legwork. They're bringing the sweat equity to the table, okay? So they're the person who's performing due diligence, right? They're negotiating back and forth with the seller to get the terms that you guys want on this deal. And they may also manage the property or manage the property manager as the asset manager. Okay, so they're pretty much bringing their sweat equity to the table. And the limited partner is not doing any of those things. They're limited to their capital invested. So pretty much they may bring the money and or the credit to the table. So if you want to do a general partnership in which you are the general partner, in which you're not bringing the capital or you're not bringing your credit to the table, you can do so as long as you set up right and you have the partners who bring that capital and credit to the table that you lack. Sweetest thing that you can do in real estate investing. So what I'm going to share in this video are the 3 essential skill sets needed to make this happen. So let's dive into it. So when I say skill sets, I'm not talking about the hard skill sets. I just mentioned a few of them already, such as performing due diligence. Make sure you're analyzing deals. I talked about making sure you're not to find deals and all that good stuff. So I'm not talking about those hard skill sets. I want to focus on the soft skill sets that are needed, okay? Now, these soft skills are essential because if you lack these skill sets, you can have a hard time closing on a deal successfully as a limited partnership, okay? And by the way, a limited partnership is an entity, okay? So let's dive into it. All right, so one of the first skill sets that I recommend, and pretty much all these skill sets relate to some form of management. So let me jump into it. The first one is time management. Whew, that's so important, meaning you have to know what each stage of the process is, as well as when each stage should be conducted. Because you'll soon see, when you get a property under contract and you work with partners, that time clock is ticking to the point that your expiration date for due diligence is approaching. So you want to make sure that you meet or hit certain milestones so that you can do things in a timely fashion. And not only do you need to make sure that you have time management skills, but you also have to make sure that your partners as well. And that leads me to the second tip: client management. You also have to manage not necessarily your clients, but you catch my drift. You also have to manage your partners, because they all come from different walks of life, and they might not have the training that you have in regard to certain skill sets or soft skills, I should say. So you have to make sure that you manage them and that they actually perform their responsibilities. So for instance, I mentioned earlier that, hey, you might be the general partner, you bring all the legwork to the table. So that doesn't mean your limited partner just to kick back, relax, kick their feet up and do nothing. No, being that they might bring the credit to the table as well as the cash to the table, they do have to sign off on paperwork. They do have to provide certain documents, such as the personal financial statement. They may also have to provide tax returns, W-2s. They may also have to send money to the settlement company for the earnest money deposit. Or they might have to pay you online for a property inspection report. So there are some very minor activities or tasks that they have to do, and you, as a general partner, have to have the essential skill of client management to make sure they're doing said duties. Okay. Now, client management is pretty much making sure your clients, your teams, your limited partners are doing what they need to be doing what they say they would do at the specified time frame. Now, if you don't know how to manage them, let's say your language, for instance, let's say your partner's name is Timmy. I don't know where that name came from. But you say, hey, Timmy, we definitely need you to submit your tax returns for last year, okay, so we can get approved for this mortgage. When will you be able to send it to me? And let's say Timmy responds, at my earliest convenience. And you say, okay, cool. What does that mean? What does that mean, my earliest convenience? Does that mean today? Does that mean in the next hour? Does that mean Friday at 3 p.m.? Nobody knows. So client management is pretty much making sure that the communication is clear and concise with specifics. So that way you can hold them accountable. You can hold your team, your limited partners accountable when you have specific metrics in place. You can't hold them accountable if they're giving you vague, ambiguous responses, such as by the end of this week, as soon as I can get to it, as soon as possible, as quickly as possible, sometime later. If so, you cannot accept any of that language. And it's important to know client management, because sometimes your clients, your limited partners, may speak this language to you. Now, it's not to say that they're trying to be lazy or be malicious and not do things. They just don't have the training. So you got to make sure you have this essential training, because again, it's your job as the general partner to make sure you take this deal process from point A all the way to point Z to closing. And it's dependent upon you to make sure you manage not only your time, but your clients effectively. Now let's get into the third skill set that's needed that relates to management. Project management. It's extremely important. Now I'm gonna share that project management in regard to doing a limited partnership relates to working with other real estate professionals, because they're all away doing their own separate projects, such as you might have the property inspector needs to get paid, needs to schedule the appointment to do the property inspection, needs to arrive at the scheduled time, needs to perform the property inspection, and then they need to send you the property inspection report. Okay, so that one person, property inspector, that was 5 steps I just outlined. So you have to make sure that as this property inspector is doing his or her 5 steps, you also have the mortgage lender over here doing their steps. They need to be able to provide a pre-qualification or pre-approval letter. They also need to be able to receive documentation from you and or your limited partners. They also need to have an appraisal order, and the appraisal needs to go out there. And then they send you a commitment letter to make sure you're approved for the mortgage. So there's many steps dealing with the mortgage lender. So while you're dealing with the mortgage lender, while you're dealing with the property inspector and the mortgage lender, you also got the agent. You got someone doing title work. You got the settlement company, right? You have all these different people in the mix to get this deal done. And you have to treat each and every step in this process, or each and every real estate professional in this process as a project, and you have to manage them effectively. You have to manage the project effectively. And even on a grander scale, right? I'm just talking about one deal here. But when you start rocking and rolling, you're having like deals after deals come in, you might have different sets of limited partnerships. So that entails you might have to manage this deal, 123 Main Street, that you're doing with Tom, Jane, and Frank. And then you have 456 Smith Street, in which you're doing this with Jamarcus, Timmy, as well as Allison. Right? And then you have 789 Pablo Street, in which you're doing this with Ricardo, you're doing this with David, and you're doing this with Tamika, right? So you might be having 3 different deals going on at the same time, but each deal might be in a different phase of the process. So you have your project management skills have to be on point. Okay, and I have a video recommendation as well that relates to personal development, so just check the link below. So I like to talk a lot about soft skills, because oftentimes these things get neglected. We just focus on, as investors, we just focus on the hard skills. How to get a deal done quickly, how to analyze, how to find a deal, how to convert business credit to cash. And just check the video below if you're interested in business credit. I have a video below for you to take a look at, right? So we focus more so on these hard skills, but we must pay attention to the soft skills, because these soft skills will help you get to a soft closing, not a hard closing. You don't want a hard closing. You want a soft closing in which the process was smooth. All right. Now, if you're interested in learning more about real estate investing, just check the link below in the description, so that way we can help you along your journey towards becoming financially free through multi-units. So as always, guys, this is to your success. Continue to earn passively, live passionately. Peace.